Good evening. Welcome to Chatting with the Dead, the only talk show that features deceased, esteemed philosophers engaging in verbal debates. Those who are with us today are the astounding Plato, Hume, and Socrates, with a surprise guest at the end. Plato, Hume, Socrates, greetings!
Greetings, Faith.
Hello. Our first guest of tonight is Plato, the rationalist who was able to help make great strides of understanding in the field of epistemology. Plato, please explain what you would consider the criteria to be for personhood and humanhood.
Well, to me, those are two distinct ideas. The criteria for humanhood is not something that can be chosen or pursued, but the essence of humanhood can only exist in a being that is rational. In my opinion, every human soul has an irrational and a rational part. So the irrational part of a human would be their emotions and desires, while the rational part would be what they know to be true. Lastly, you must be able to perceive the world around you in some way. For a human, an example of this would be through sight or touch. Now, for what I consider personhood, would be a human who essentially tries to keep the rational part of their soul in control over their irrational part. How they interact with others and grow within society determines a person. A person pursues what they rationalize to be true knowledge.
Excellently executed. Now, 18th century empiricist David Hume, what would you like to say?
Well, I personally am not very well versed in that area, but I think to be a human, one must be able to form ideas about the world and reflect on them. Since only rational beings, humans, can do that. Another exclusively human feature is imagination, a fixture of the mind that allows people to go through life without worrying about things not directly observed by them. It does so with the help of its two features, constancy and coherence. Constancy means that the mind automatically assumes that similar perceptions are perceptions of the same thing. So if you see a building from your window every day, your mind assumes it's the same building despite it looking different every day. Coherence means that we assume things will continue going through a cycle they go through when observed, when they're not observed. So the fire will continue burning, the food will continue cooking, despite us not looking at them, and there really being no guarantee of that. As for what forms a person, the answer is simple. One's knowledge shapes them, as it affects the ideas they have about the world and their behavior with it. If one exists around similar manners of behavior, it will begin to emulate it, and it will often become the only possible way for them to conduct themselves.
Wow, Mr. Hume, it seems that you and Plato can agree on the topic of personhood, if not on what the criteria for a human is. On that note, Socrates, the founding father of philosophy, what do you have in store for us today?
What is the ability to consider yourself a person? It is the ability to form your own experience and questions in everything. The only thing that a person is able to know is that they know nothing. The criteria for personhood is the ability to question and think deeper. I believe that people should have kindness and respectfulness. This will bring conscience in the soul.
That is quite different from both Hume and Plato's perspectives. Now, diving deeper into the subject, what and how do you think we can know?
Well, that's a very good question. First off, for you to understand my perspective, you must first understand that there is a difference between knowing and perceiving. Every day, we're able to perceive the world around us in only a way we can through our five senses. This means that the things that we perceive every day, such as birds and trees, are able to come into and also leave existence just as our human bodies inevitably do. However, what we can know is and what has always and what will always continue to be true. The things that we can come to know are the things that our soul must relearn from the time in what I like to call the realm of the forms. However, what we experience in this world clouds our judgment and ability to recall this knowledge. The truths we were exposed to and are able to learn always exist and are continuous. This is how we know what is true knowledge. Now, although what we know is constant, how we can come to know is actually through our perceptions. As rational beings, we're able to take the situations and ever-changing information around us and use it to reestablish and continue to back up those constant truths in life. Once we are able to take away what we know to be true, what we perceive with our bodies, and take time to balance the rational and irrational parts of our soul, then and only then will we be able to determine what is real.
The only thing a person can know is that they know absolutely nothing. The extent of our knowledge is limited. We must continue to learn and expand what we are able to know by questioning how you know what you know.
The only things we can know immediately and directly are our own ideas. We cannot view a world outside them, as self does not exist without impressions to shape it, and impressions are what forms the ideas. No matter what my colleagues Locke and Berkeley say on the subject, it does not matter whether the ideas are accurate to a world they're supposed to represent. People live their lives under the assumption that their ideas are 100% accurate to reality, and to doubt that would achieve nothing but unnecessary anxiety. What's more interesting is how people actually perceive it. For example, ideas formed from impressions can be simple and complex, with complex ones consisting of several simple ones. Like simple ideas of liquid, brown, sweet, and hot form a complex idea of tea. As to how can we know things, the answer is simple. We can know things with our mind.
Wonderful. Lastly, what do you philosophers think is really real?
The gods and their will. I believe what is real is true knowledge. I believe it is not enough to believe or to know, but why you know or believe.
We didn't know what's real for certain because despite that according to Locke's copy theory, which I agree with, our ideas are perfect copies of actual existing objects, the theory itself provides little proof for that. I personally think that the only things that are certainly real are our ideas and our belief in them.
This has been a wonderful show, and I want to thank you all for attending. On that note, the moment you've all been waiting for, our surprise guest, The Flash!
Hello, yes, everyone, it is I, the Flash, the fastest man alive.
Continue, Flash, enlighten us on what you believe in.
Well, to start off, I focus on what is right. Many people discover that before I fight metahumans, I share what I think is important to hear. Sharing my knowledge gives the meta the opportunity to discover their strength and spirit. For example, telling them what is wrong and things they mostly do not want to hear, but need to be said for the safety of others.
So what you're saying is you run around and beat people up in a red suit. How does that qualify you to be here with esteemed philosophers such as us?
I disagree. One shouldn't impose their will on others or determine how others should think in the way of what is right or wrong. I believe that an individual should be able to think freely.
Hold up, I do not just beat people up. I save the city by using my knowledge I obtained from the past. The good and bad brings me to a state of inductive reasoning. The probability of everything consuming my life, I think about it every time I have to make a decision. The chances could be low or high, and I need to estimate that for the safety of my city. And I don't impose my reasoning on them. I challenge their knowledge and make them rethink their actions. Surely you'd be down with that, Socrates.
Okay, that's a pretty good response. But when saving your city, how do you truly know what is right and what's the wrong decision to make?
I do not know whether something is true or false until the point has come. To decide the probability, I need to live in the moment. I need to see things and be one with the thing at hand. Unless it is something science can prove and I can make a solution to, I will not know the answer until living in the moment with my senses.
Okay, well, thank you all for your time. I really enjoyed listening to your views. That would be it for today. Thank you all for coming. Say goodbye to the audience.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye, city.
That's all, folks.